Hey, hey, hey. Hey, 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 hey. It's your Jamaican girl. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back or welcome to Jamaican Girl Big World. This is your girl Shanice. And today we have a very special guest. I'm so excited to have another Jamaican in the room. I can't tell you how happy I am. Anyway, so here we have with us is the wonderful Ashley Bromfield, who is a former soloist dancer at National Dance Theatre Company of Jamaica, NDTC, and a current dancer with Graham too. She's also done work with Dior Sachs collab with the Martha Graham Center. She's been in Orsolino 28 Art Foundation summer program in 2022. She did the Hot Girl Summer Boot Camp with dancehall choreographer Inspire. She's danced with Sean Paul, Itana, Protege, you name it, she's done it because my girl is a dancer. Yeah, she's a real dancer. So, welcome, Ashley. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So, the question I wanted to ask you today is, what led you to New York City? I mean, I know you auditioned to be a part of Graham too, but how are you finding the dance journey so far? Like, what has it been like?
Honestly, New York was really the last thing on my list.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was applying to a lot of dance companies in Europe, actually. So I was trying to go that route. And I think it's just one of those things that's like, it's just God's timing.
Yeah.
And where you're meant to be is just where you're meant to be.
Fully.
So all of those doors in Europe that I was trying to kind of push my way into, they were just really closed. I wasn't really getting through with any auditions, unfortunately.
No, that's like...
And Graham 2 was the last audition that I did.
Okay.
I was on tour with the company to Connecticut. We had a couple shows. Yeah, we had a couple shows one weekend, and it ended up being the same weekend of the audition. Again, God's timing.
Yeah.
So I was in Connecticut, and I stayed an extra day in New York when we flew in, did the audition, and then went back over for tour in Connecticut. Came home, was told I was accepted, and here I am. So that's how we're in New York.
Well, that's exciting. That's really amazing. So, how was it like for you in Jamaica? Like, how was your dance journey in Jamaica? Like, how did that progress? Like, how did you even start doing dance? Let's start there.
Yeah. So, oh God, this is a long-winded question. Trying to like put 20 odd years of dance into a few minutes. But
no worries.
My mom started me out in dance. Her story is just that we would go to church and she just wasn't able to keep me still. So every time like the choir would perform, I would run up and down the aisles. And she was like, okay, she likes to move her body, so maybe we'll just put her in this. There was no serious intention. And then it just kind of stuck.
Yeah.
And there was nothing growing up where I thought, oh, I really want to be a professional dancer. It was always just a place for me to hang out with my friends that I was growing up with. That's really what it was for me.
Yeah.
I think, so I was just doing modern dance with like a Christian ministry. And then when I was about 6, when I was going to school, there was a ballet instructor who was coming into the school to teach ballet classes, Kathy Gibbon.
Shout out to Kathy.
Shout out to Kathy. And my mom just enrolled me. She was like, okay, it'll be good for you to refine your skills.
Yeah.
And I was doing that. And then about when I was 16, I remember it just kind of clicked that, oh, I could actually do this professionally. Because we were, looking at C-sex subjects and you're starting to think about your future at that age.
Exactly.
And I was like, oh, why can't I just do this for the rest of my life? So I had taken a little bit of a break from ballet in between that time, and I picked it back up with Elizabeth Samudo at Vickers Dance Studio. And
shout out to Vickers.
Shout out to Auntie Liz.
Auntie Liz is the real
most
OG
loved
still.
Auntie Liz.
I know, right?
So we were doing ballet modern, and when I was about 17, I say Uncle Marlon Sims, Uncle Marlon.
Yeah.
He would just like kind of recruit girls from the Vickers studio to come up into the company. And I went to a workshop with Shelley Maxwell at the NDTC space, and they saw me there. And he was like, oh, like you dance with Vickers, da-da-da-da. And he just said, would you come take company class with us? And I did. Loved it. And I just embarked on this journey of really deep diving into Caribbean dance, Afro-Caribbean movement, Pan-Africanism, everything that comes with Rex Nettlefoot, which is the founder of the company.
Yeah.
And it was the best experience because, you know, you're growing up in Jamaica and we don't really have a history class necessarily about our culture. You kind of just live it and things are passed down
That way,
through your family telling you stories and talking.
Exactly, like oral history.
Right.
So.
And for me, this was actually like building a deep connection with my Caribbean roots through something that I was passionate about.
Right.
Because we just learned so much about how our ancestors used to move. And, you know, the company was built after we were independent. So it's a really important foundation for us to have. And I just really enjoyed it. Like, I was learning everything about how to move as a Caribbean woman and, you know, just enjoying that style. And so I had been doing that for a few years and matriculated to soloist role. And then eventually I just said, you know what, I feel like I've earned or learned as much as I want to in this space for now. And maybe I'll come back to it. But I really wanted to explore other movement. I wanted to kind of expand into more contemporary work. I was seeing things like Juliana Nunes and just these amazing spaces.
Oh my gosh, I love him, by the way.
I'm obsessed with him. And he's
love him.
he's actually,
I saw that you work with him and I'm so jealous. I was like,
he's actually the most amazing artist in person. Like, you know, you get nervous to meet people that you really admire through the internet.
Yes.
And you're like, please, like, I don't want to hit you in real life.
No, I said don't be your heroes.
No.
But, you know.
He's so awesome.
That's amazing that he's living up to the expectation. I love that.
His energy in the space, he commands a room. He's vibrant. Yeah, I just wanted to be in rooms like that. There's so much dance out there, and we're living in such an interconnected community now globally.
Yeah.
That you're seeing so much more that you didn't know existed. So for me, it's really important as an artist to feed myself in that way. So I just started applying to different companies, and I was like, whichever door opens. And Graham opened, and I answered the call. So I was like, yeah, let's learn this new technique. Let's expand. So, yeah.
Before we get into that, I saw during the pandemic, you started exploring all the movements that I've never seen you in before, which is dancehall. How did you get into that? That's what I want to know. That's what I'm intrigued by. Talk to me about that.
So it's just one of those things, again, that I always talk about, like God's timing. I'm also a very spiritual person. So, oh, yeah. So
Shout out to God every time. Like, are you joking?
I believe heavily in really manifesting what you want, communicating with the universe, like just putting it out there. I got injured in 2019. I had a severe rhomboid injury in my back. And I stepped down from NDTC. I stepped down from taking Balika, everything. And within a few months of that, the pandemic started. So I was already kind of in a regressive stage, pulling back from dancing, and getting injured had taught me that I kind of needed to figure out who I was without dance, first of all. So I kind of started just deciding I was going to pull back from like the fine arts, the concert dance, and I was going to explore anything else, whether that was like other movements, just other hobbies. So I was doing a lot of skateboarding and surfing, and eventually I was just getting into like improv and stuff. And I had posted just like a little improv video to, I can't remember what song it was. I think it was a song by one of the Marleys, but I was just vibing. And Inspire had DM'd me, I think, and was just saying how she had a music video opportunity. which ended up being for Protege and coffee.
Oh, okay.
And she said, can you send me like some movement of you really quickly and like a resume and headshot? I think this was like 11 p.m. in the night too. I was like ready to go to bed.
Yeah.
And she had sent me a message and I was like, what's going on?
Life comes really fast.
Right. And she was like, can you do it now? And I was like,
oh,
yeah. Because
okay.
I think they wanted it like the next day. That's the thing
Right.
with commercial dances.
It's very
fast paced.
Exactly.
So it's like if you want it, you have to like get into it now or we're going to find somebody else.
Yeah.
So I jumped on it. I love a challenge like that. I was like, oh, yeah. I sent her something and she was like, okay, yeah, like we'll take you. I like the way that you move, etc. And that she basically opened the first door for me into the commercial dance space into Jamaica, the dancehall space. So
Yeah.
she was really welcoming. She's the best. Love you, Sham.
Question though, do you think in Jamaica is the dancehall more valued than the concert theatre dancehall space that you usually occupy? Do you think one is valued more than the other?
I think they are equally undervalued, actually. You know, it's interesting. I think that it just goes back to our parents' day and age and what is considered a valuable career and what is going to put food on the table. It wasn't so much back in their day about what's going to make you happy, what are you passionate about, artistic pursuits.
Right.
So growing up, you know, in Jamaica, it feels like it's long ago, but it's not that long ago that your parents really are expecting you to either become a lawyer,
a doctor, a teacher,
or something of that nature. What happens with that is people stop believing in the arts from a really young age. They don't see a career where you can make money just not just entertaining, but exploring yourself spiritually and artistically and technically. And that then goes into how people approach dance shows in Jamaica. So if people are not willing to pay, you know, the prices of tickets to sustain a company, you can't really pay your dancers. And then if you can't really pay your dancers, they have to have real jobs, 9 to 5, outside of dance. And it's just like this vicious cycle of the funding not going into dance that needs to go into it. But then also not being able to support the people who need like rested bodies and time to work on the craft to really perfect it. To then put on something that it's like, yeah, this ticket is worth the price that it is. So it's like it's a vicious cycle where people just don't believe in it back home as a sustained career, and so they don't value it. Yeah. Fully. And I think it goes for both dancehall and concert dance. It's just a Caribbean perception of dance, and we love dance culturally speaking. But when you start talking about career, it's like, well, how are you gonna make money from that? You know?
Yeah.
And I don't think it's intentional. They just don't see the pathway. So.
Funny enough, though, dancers have managed to like push past that barrier. Like, all right, you don't think this is real, I'm gonna show you it's real,
right?
Kind of vibe. And that's always been the culture with dancehall from its inception. It was always a pushing back on like social issues, political issues, the works. So dancehall dance came out of that naturally. So the dancers themselves have tried to find a way to make it a career. So you find that there are more avenues for dancers to make money, commercially speaking, in music videos, and they travel and
European tours.
Yeah.
And again, you see, so much of the money is outside.
It's outside of Jamaica.
Right.
Outside the Caribbean in whole. But thankfully, we have the DDA, which is Dancehall Dance Association, that recently started back in, I think it was 2021 or 2022. Maria Hitchens, which was adjunct lecturer at Edna Manley, started along with Latonia Style. And they decided to create. Yeah. No, Latonia Style, not Dr. Styles. Yeah.
I thought you said Latonia Style.
No,
Latonia, sorry.
They started it in an effort to represent those dancers and to give them a space where they would have agency. So when they do go on these jobs, they have representation. Do you think it would be beneficial to have that type of representation for concert dancers, much like the DDA? Because the DDA, they advocate for the rights of Jamaican dancers and choreographers. They ensure that, you know, they're getting equal pay for equal work. You know, they set them up with professional photo shoots so that they have headshots they can bring on jobs, they have action shots, so they can build a portfolio, so they have something in physical form to say, hey, this is me, this is the work that I've done, and this is who I am. So you can reference this to hire me for a potential job.
Right.
They gave out identification cards as well. So yeah, it would be nice to have that in the concert space as well, because there is room for that.
Right.
I think in the commercial space, because say for example, NCB, National Commercial Bank of Jamaica, say, I want to do a commercial and I need a ballet dancer. And you say, oh, well, I have some experience in point work. I can do it. You go to audition, it's just you and NCB. You have no representation. Whereas NDTC to say, hey, this is our dancer. We support her. This is her resume. This is her portfolio. You can come through us and we will set you up. So I think it would be nice to have something like that, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. I had been hearing like whispers that something of that kind, like an agency, was trying to be started in Jamaica. I'm really not sure where that is.
Between the companies?
I guess as a third party.
Okay.
For the companies. I know that to an extent the entertainment registry is involved in what we do. So what you do is and that's connected to the Ministry of Culture. You sign up and they have your portfolio, your resume, your picture, your experience, everything. And they send out, I get the email sometimes, they send out opportunities that are coming up that you can connect dancers with. So the most recent one was actually a project that is going to take in, well, not even just project, it's a 3-month kind of like residency.
Okay.
It's in Venice, Italy. And dancers who applied, it's going to be funded, I guess, in equal parts by the school that is hosting it and also the entertainment registry, if you are of Caribbean descent. So they had sent that out, and it's going to be with Wayne McGregor.
Oh, nice.
So if you've seen Chroma, Wayne McGregor, I mean, he's one of the most like renowned and talented choreographers in our generation as well. So.
Is this specifically for concert dancers, or is it
for...
Okay.
It's concert dance. So they send out those opportunities. There is that level of connection, but I don't think that we have like an agency, like a SAG-AFTRA that you have in New York. Like we don't really have that back home. Ideally, we would love to have that.
Absolutely.
But everything is really word of mouth. So
Yeah. And it's because we also operate in a non-profit state too. Like we don't necessarily have any real funding for company dancers. Like I know like Hardcore pays their dancers for a season and stuff like that. But like NDTC, that's been around forever.
Yeah.
They don't have that.
Yeah, it's a volunteer company.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because I mean, you work so hard, you earn your craft. There's a whole performing arts school in Jamaica, Edna Manley College, that I went to, and I did that program. And then when you finish, if you are a part of a dance company, you would still have to get a 9 to 5, and then that's taxing on the body because then you go work 8 hours a day, and then in the evening you have rehearsal for another 3-4 hours. It's
it's a lot. I guess how I've really navigated it is that I'm very much a realist. So I look at a situation and I try to see, okay, this is what it is. I'm gonna do it anyways on the account that I want these good aspects of it or these good benefits from it. So even though NDTC is a volunteer company, for me that was like giving back to my culture, giving back to my community. So I was accepting of that. I do know that we are in the works of, working trying to become a paid company, and those things take time in Jamaica, and you just have to be patient. So for me, it's like I've accepted that it's not going to be my generation, it's not going to be me. But I'm going to take what I can from this professionally and build and come back so that another generation of NDTC or any other company in Jamaica can be paid and not have to do that. Yeah,
that's always the motive. Same, actually. Like, I hope to build a career here and put back into that the culture and creative industry, because I do want us to be bigger. And for student practitioners, dancers, musicians, the works, artists, to be paid for their time and their talent, because, I mean, in Jamaica, Bulikaba Utalo. Like,
Right.
everywhere you go, you will see another Jamaican. You will hear
actually.
about another Jamaican. Literally everywhere. So it's nice that we're able to go outside, experience different things, do different things to be able to put back in our culture.
Yeah, and we're massive in dance. People
Fully.
don't know like that Jamaicans really do. They train at home. They get as much as they can. The way that we move is innately Caribbean.
Yeah.
And they take that and they go somewhere else and we really shine. Like
Yeah.
there are a lot of Jamaicans excelling in dance in amazing places. I know Shelley Maxwell is like, I'm always hearing about her putting out work and doing things in London.
Oh, wow.
And Garth Fagan,
Love
people
him.
didn't know that he choreographed Lion King.
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yes. We're doing amazing things. And even Clive Thompson,
Yes.
Uncle Clive,
Oh.
he was major in the Graham community. There's a famous picture of him in one of my instructor's book. Her name is Blakely White McGuire. And there's a famous picture of him in a contraction elevated off of the floor.
I've seen
that
it.
Everyone
It's
has.
at Edna as
Oh my
well.
gosh.
I
Yeah,
love
see?
that photo.
Yeah.
He's so good.
So there are a lot of us expanding in the space.
yeah.
That I guess what we should do as a country is shed more light on. Because maybe that's the beginning of showing that there is actually a career out of this. We actually are making waves. I think most of our attention gets concentrated on more sports back home.
Yeah.
But we're doing things. We're doing things in dance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think are the benefits of being a part of a dance company or a group compared to being a solo dancer?
In terms of what? And I think also it depends which company.
So you're with NDTC. What were the benefits of being a part of NDTC as opposed to being on your own and going out to do all these different types of work that you've
Like
built up?
freelance.
Right.
Speaking in like Jamaica wise, freelance I think is a little bit harder to get as much performance experience
Okay.
because NDTC has like a year-long schedule of performances and tours. And so being in a company kind of allows you that consistency with classes and technique training that you don't have to like additionally pay for if you're
Right.
a freelance artist because you're volunteering your time, so
Exactly.
you have classes all week. You
get the
your
training.
training is up there, and then the performance experience is pretty consistent because we do tour, and some of like the most successful dancers are also coming out of these companies.
Right.
And so when you are a part of these companies, you kind of get into that little community that is very small and everyone knows each other.
Literally.
So if you are dancing with like NDTC, every other company is coming to the show.
Right.
So you're seen by everyone. And so there's a greater chance that you're building connections. And then through those connections, you get pulled for freelance work.
Okay.
So
you're
I
building
would
a network.
exactly.
Okay.
So you kind of get the best of both worlds when you are a part of a company. If you're just on your own, there's less of a commitment to any one person, and so you're not like front of mind for people necessarily
right,
when they're
right.
thinking of doing a project. But it just depends on your goals at that time. So it's like if you just want a break where you kind of want to roam free and test out different companies, test out different movement, then yeah, freelance is fun. But if you really want to be performing and really digging into your craft and being consistent, I would say it's better to do a company because you can still do freelance opportunities outside of that. You're not tied down to a contract when it is a nonprofit organization. So,
Do you think the dancer's role in Jamaica is appreciated? Do you think people appreciate the dancer, or do you feel more valued as a Jamaican dancer outside of Jamaica?
I think I feel equally valued.
Really?
I guess that's very personal.
Yeah, I would say because I don't relate.
Why did you say that?
You start.
Maybe we shouldn't go down this road. This is getting sensitive in here. In my personal experience, I felt equally valued. I have to say, I think I got lucky in that sense.
Yeah.
Being a soloist for the national company is not like an easy feat.
I don't
take it for
is.
granted. And I think that as much as, every dancer has imposter syndrome, even if you think that that person is the most amazing, like, we all do.
100%.
And so sometimes I just have to remind myself, like, I was given those roles because the artistic director felt I could bring integrity to that role. So that, to me, is a sign of being appreciated. That's an accolade.
Right.
I didn't feel like I was in the NDTC space and not moving up the ladder. But also, there's definitely a different level of appreciation when you go into another country because you're unique.
Yeah.
You just automatically, you're in a room and you're the minority now.
Yeah.
So there is something different about you. There's something different that you bring to that space. So that's a different level of appreciation.
Very true.
It does mean you have to work even 10 times harder to not only maintain your style, but also adapt to the style that they have there to be given those higher roles.
Right.
So that's kind of the space I'm in now, is staying true to myself, but also being able to show them that I can do exactly what you're asking me for. That has been done by many other
Period.
predecessors.
Excuse me? Dancer. A real dancer. Okay, so for me, the dancer's role, I don't feel like it's much appreciated in Jamaica. I feel like we're taken for a joke. I feel like people believe we're very mediocre. I'm not even just dance in particular, in the art space. I feel like we're not necessarily appreciated for the work that we do or the talent that we have, which in part has put Jamaica on the map. So I don't think I don't feel like...
You mean by the outside public?
Right, the outside. I'm not talking about within our space.
So I was talking within the space, for sure. I felt appreciated. The outside public, I feel like everybody loves me. What do you mean? What do you mean? Come on.
I'm so happy for you.
No, I think I feel appreciated, yeah.
Okay, so
I would say, like, after the shows, like, people will come and...
See, that's still within the
They
circle,
will
though.
come to me. Oh, you mean like the patrons at the shows?
Right, because the patrons in Jamaica are still a part of the dance public in Jamaica.
No, sometimes they're outside.
I feel like we're in such a tiny ball, though, because the dance circuit has always been the same. It's always the same patrons come every year to our shows. So I feel like we've created an audience, and the audience has stayed the same.
Okay, so then how I would say I think I'm appreciated is that I post a lot of my work on social media, or I'll share a lot of things.
Right.
And just people who are really not in the dance industry will be like, oh my gosh, I love what you're doing.
Right.
I do feel that sense of appreciation. As to whether, again, it goes back to our conversation, do they question, like, is she making money from that? Probably. That's not their business, nor do I care. But I do feel like people put respect on what I do, because they look at it and they're like, oh no, I could never do that. Like, I could never lift my leg that. I mean, they simplify it.
Yeah.
I can never lift my leg that high, But
yeah,
I do think people have respect for what I do, especially because I take it serious. And I speak about it very seriously.
Same. I don't play. Don't play about dance.
Yeah.
I don't play about dance. Don't
Even
play
when
with
I was holding, like, my ballet dancehall classes.
Yes.
A lot of people messaged me and they were like, this is really different. This is really cool. I've never seen this before and I love what you're doing.
You see, that right there, that is the problem. That's what I'm talking about. So, as I was saying before, because our circle has been so small and our audience has stayed the same over the years, we haven't been able to attract new people.
Right.
And it's because, and then when you do things like that and you post on social media and be like, oh, I've never seen this before, they don't know that we've been doing this for years. This has been going on long before we even showed up. And I just curious as to why the concert dance space hasn't tried to push out more marketing or something so that other people could come in and see this and experience this, because there's so much different parts of Jamaica that has not experienced what it's like to go to a theater and watch a dance show.
Right.
And
appealing to the younger generation.
Exactly.
Right.
The younger even the older generation, some of them are still want to come like, oh, I'd love to see my daughter lift up her leg and do a thing. So like it would be nice to see them even go. Well, I'm not sure if they have any other theaters besides also had one in Kingston, to go to other places like in Mobay, in Negril, wherever, to reach those other audiences that are in Jamaica that want to see it and are interested in it.
And you know what? There's a two-part to this question. The first is that is happening as we speak.
Is it?
Where companies are, yeah, for sure. Because I was working with CDT. It's now called CDT, but originally known as The Company by Tony Wilson.
Right.
But it's now Company Dance Theatre. I was working with them for a short period of time, and the biggest thing on our plate was also social media presence and gathering more content and putting more things out. NDTC is also, very heavy on their social media posting and stuff.
Love them.
So I think that a lot of companies will follow suit.
Yeah.
I think, again, it just takes time for us to continue to develop that mindset of, we need to actually push our dance. Like, this is a part of creating that career, creating that environment.
Exactly. Because the more it goes out, the more people will be interested, the more shows, the more money that goes into the culture and creative industry so that we can give back to the dancers that are working.
Right now, it's more of a, my friend is in the show, so I'm coming to see.
Exactly.
But it's not so much people being like, oh my God, the arts in Jamaica.
Exactly.
Like, the random patron just getting up and coming to a show.
Right.
And I think that is in part because we haven't really, maybe this is controversial to say, but we haven't yet had a Caribbean dance like mascot almost.
True.
So we have like Usain Bolt for track. So everyone around the world, including our country, can now identify track as a successful field because they have seen someone become the best in the world.
Exactly.
And so they associate Usain with track with home. So if there are other kids like pursuing track, they have something to look at as kind of like a metric of, oh yeah, that you could do that. We also have that for music. We have Bob Marley. I don't know if we have. Do you know? Like, do we have somebody for dance where it's like,
when you said
that's a famous dancer in the world, and everyone knows she's from Jamaica, kind of a thing.
When you said that, my immediate thought went to Mystic Upload. She's the first person I thought about, and I'm like, she's American. She's not Caribbean,
right?
And that's what we need.
And a lot of our people do associate black dancers with Mystic Upload in Jamaica.
Yeah,
because when she came to perform at the Little Theatre, it was sold out. So
yeah,
I think that's what we're missing.
Yeah, that would definitely help for sure. Yeah. And it doesn't even have to be from Jamaica. It could be from any Caribbean island. I'm not really sure what the other Caribbean islands are really doing in terms of the dance space. So,
well, because of Edna Manley being the only performing arts college within the entire Caribbean, all other or most other Caribbean artists come to Jamaica to perform, and then they end up filtering into our companies.
Exactly.
So it might seem like it's just Jamaica, but really it's a culmination.
True.
There are Caribbean people like from Barbados and Guyana and things like that coming into Jamaica. I know we also had some Cubans at some point in time.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to any young Jamaican dancer now who want to take a shot on the world stage like you have with all these wonderful accolades that I've named before?
I would say first, nothing before it's time, and get as much out of Jamaica as you possibly can. Go and take a ballet class, or be consistent with your ballet training. Actually, I take that back. You should be going to ballet class 4 times a week.
7 days a week.
7 days a week.
If you've never done ballet,
7 days a week.
Age of 10, you should be going every single day.
Yes, every single day. Also, seek out counsel. Have a mentor, because there are successful Jamaicans who are around to explain to the younger generation, this is what worked for Ashley, this is what worked for Shelley, this is what worked for whoever. There are definitely Jamaicans who have made it out, and it's important that if you don't know where to start, you need to sit down and talk with somebody. A lot of different avenues that Jamaicans have taken is auditioning for The Lion King.
Yeah.
Because Garth Fagan choreographed, and part of his contract was that they have to, I don't know how many years it is, maybe every 4, I would say, they have to audition dancers in Jamaica as part of that contract. So that is an avenue for a lot of Jamaican dancers to leave. If you are just looking to, you are just a dancer who is on board for anything, it's not deep where it comes to the artistic side, you just want to be paid for what you do, that's a good avenue to get started. But again, I would do all of that after I've had some experience doing a company back home and really connecting with you people before you leave, because the environment is different. It's deeply personal, and I would say in America it's a little more cutthroat. So you have to be prepared for that, and it's good to have some level of grounding before you do that. Also, there's lots of opportunities to tour with your community back home.
Yeah.
So I would say find yourself at home first, and then have some guidance, have a mentor, and try all of the avenues that have worked for other people, and then see if there are new ones out there. So I know a lot of people go into Graham too, as another avenue. And we've had many successful Jamaicans, Nala, Ricardo, who has also been in the Graham community, Clive Thompson, one of the greats, myself, I'm now doing it. So that's a consistent avenue. Identify that. Lion King, another consistent avenue. And then if you're ready to leave, you really have to think about audition season, which is usually around December to April of the following year. And that is a whole other conversation in itself if we want to get into how auditions work and how difficult it is.
Yeah.
And I would say it's a lot easier to get things done in Jamaica. There's a lot more resources available to you cost-wise. So you want to get all those things done before you stick your foot out the door and go somewhere else, i.e. headshots, resumes, dance reels. You need to be collecting footage every time you perform. Every single time you perform. You need to have that footage on hand, because you're going to need to collate that and have it ready to audition and even share. Headshots. So many people in the dance industry are connected to photographer friends. Big up Anna and Alex Chin, my personal photographer friends. Link up with your friends. Get your headshots done. Get your dance shots done. Get your portfolio done. Because to do that in America, it's like $200-$300, $400 just to get these headshots.
And
it's
pro
no
tip,
joke.
you could just go to Edno. There are so many student photographers that are just ready and willing to take a picture because they're trying to build up a portfolio for themselves. So an action shot would be great for them. So
also that.
Yeah.
And that was a big lesson I realized in life was when people say network, I think when we're younger, we always think networking is getting into big rooms with big people and making these personal connections, and then you have a job. Networking, 90% of the time for me, has been with my friends who are also up and coming.
Right.
And
it's literally just talking.
Right. It becomes this barter system where I need to get some dance shots, but I also have a photographer friend who wants to capture movement for their portfolio. And it's like a win-win situation. So sometimes it's just about connecting with the people around you, the people your age, and you can achieve a lot through that. So that has worked out in my favor tremendously. Like, for instance, my ballet dancehall footage, that was captured and edited by Anastasia Chin, and it was because she is a dancer herself and she wanted to capture a different movement. She wanted to capture something else, and she was interested in what I was doing, and she just asked, like, can I come and record this? And you know, she had her movement for her portfolio, and I had footage of a style that I was just starting to develop, and so now I have that for myself. So it's just about keeping connected with the people around you. So
All right.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Ashley, for joining me. This has been a great dance talk. We will definitely have to do this again. This was so much fun.
Yay.
All right, guys. So thank you so much for listening. Be sure to leave a comment, and I'll be sure to read your feedback on this week's episode. And as always, big up yourself.